Radio show. It's Friday night, 7:08 p.m. Central. You're listening to United Public Radio, 107.7 FM, New Orleans. We got Jay McNicholas with us here tonight, co-hosting. How's it going, Jay?
So far, so good. I got a little bit of a sore throat, a little bit of laryngitis, so I'm trying to get it better. I might have to go up and grab a pint of ice cream to soothe it during the show, but
That's
that'll be
fine.
all right.
No. And yeah, everything just feels crazy. Like it's just in the air. Like we're not, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely an offshoot of the political situation here in America that seems insane, like a Batman villain's taken over. And it's just a lot of crazy in the air. Like even people that are on the right wing side that I'm friends with who originally supported him, and we're not going to get into this right now too deeply, but the guy that I spoke to, my friend Mike, basically said that he thinks Trump is about to hotbox us, like kill us all, like some weird depopulation thing. That's really bizarre. And that's from someone that used to support him. So that was
Yeah,
really creepy. But it definitely just seems creepy and off, whatever's happening right now.
a lot of people seem to have that same idea about him. I don't see it in the dude. I mean, is he an ass? Absolutely, but right now he seems to have most of the planets, or most of the governments on this planet, under his thumb now. He hasn't quelled the Russia thing yet, or the Mideast thing yet, like he promised to before he was inaugurated. But I think he's got them running scared.
Yeah, and well, basically, if anybody knows, if you want to check out the Church of Mabus group on Facebook, stop by and you can get to it, churchofmabusradio.com. If you want to check out my Trump group called Fuhrer Shitbird von Trumpelgooch, you can go there, and that's on Facebook. That's Fuhrer Shitbird von Trumpelgooch. So that sums up my feelings on that. Let's move to the next subject. But anywho, the main reason we do the show, Sarah and David, is when I was younger, I had testicular cancer at 17. It really sucked, and I had to go through chemo. And then a few years later, my dad died, and I started to have experiences that were just totally bizarre, that things I never thought about ever, except for like Star Wars and E.T., as a kid. I never thought I would see UFOs and weird beings. And somehow it was connected, I believe, to trauma, losing a testicle, going through chemo, my father's death. And we've done shows on trauma and these experiences. And for some reason, under various assortment of states of consciousness, I would attract UFOs, from being completely sober to not being completely sober. Fun at parties too. I would see them with multiple witnesses, but a lot of different beings. And it was interesting that the book, there were some parallels to that. And I've done DMT before. It's been a while. I miss it. My biggest problem with it is finding it. And I was reading the Terrence McKenna quote in it about the geometric patterns on the wall. And that actually happened to me, to where I did it and I saw strange writing on the walls, and I walked up to the walls and felt it. And then later, of course, when you're not on it, I came back to the wall and was like, it was not there. So, and then there's been a various assortment of beings that I've seen, from beings of light. And I've had discussions with shamans and medicine men about what those could be. There's so many different theories, but some of my bigger ones were the beings of light that I've seen. Saw those down here in Florida, as if they were leaving my house and flew straight into the heavens, and I was completely sober. It was as if they were in my home and flew straight up and just went straight into the heavens. And those were like luminous beings of light. And then some of the other ones were very reptilian. I call those the serpentines. And then another type was some very small hooded beings that were in the woods, 3 of them. And I saw them with a friend, Brian, and a cat jumped towards them and they vanished, a black cat. And they definitely were not physical. They were definitely in another realm. And for some reason I was just seeing it. but it always amazes me what the black box was. I always try to figure out, was that some kind of apparatus they used to time travel, or what, Satan's webcam? I don't know what it was, but definitely a weird black box. But
Oh, what happened to the cat?
that cat died later, but got hit by a car or something,
It
and
wasn't
I'm
like
not
the next day.
it was close, but I'm not gonna blame the beings for it. But I don't know. Uh, but it's great to have you both here. If you could, no, don't do that, dog. What can start you to tell us what was the catalyst and the start of getting down this road with DMT in the book? And I love the illustrations, and just what was the start?
Okay, well, I can go. Well, I'm David J. Brown. I'm a writer and author. I'm the author of 19 books about the evolution of consciousness, and this is our latest book, the Illustrated Field Guide to DMT Entities. And the book originated from an experience that Sarah, my illustrator and co-author of the book, had around 14 years ago when we were tripping together one day in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And we were remarking on how interesting it was that when people have experiences with dimethyltryptamine or DMT, a mysterious compound that's found ubiquitously throughout nature and is natural to the human body, but no biochemist knows what function it serves. But when you do it in sufficient quantities, it's pretty much the most powerful psychedelic known to human beings, of an order of magnitude more powerful than LSD or psilocybin or mescaline. And if you do enough of it, you actually find yourself completely in another world. Your entire visual field is completely replaced, and you're in an environment that is that many people describe as kind of sometimes as a technological laboratory, or some kind of enclosed underground space. Where it's populated by intelligent beings, superly intelligent beings, as a matter of fact, beings that seem more evolved than human beings. They seem to know us better than we know ourselves, and the experience seems realer than real, as many people describe it. And when Sarah and I were tripping together this one day, this one magical afternoon in the Santa Cruz Mountains, we remarked on how interesting it was that so many people have consistent reports in the type of beings that they experience, the praying mantis entities, the self-transforming machine elves, as Terence McKenna has named, octopus type beings, reptilians, greys. It's just remarkable how, out of, if they're hallucinations or just projections of our own mind, then why is there such consistency to these experiences? And so Sarah and I, when we were discussing this, we thought, wouldn't it be a wonderful idea to put together a book that was similar to when I was a child, I used to love the Golden Guide series, the field guides to different plants and animals. I loved going out in nature and identifying the different species. And we thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to put together a field guide, a book like that, of the DMT entities? And so, Sarah is a just brilliant artist, an absolutely amazing ability to capture things that many people think can't be captured into visual form, but she finds a way. And we thought, she could illustrate it, and I guess, since I'm a writer, I could maybe describe these different entities. And that was an idea that was born, say, 14 years ago, and we sort of sat on that idea for years, and just collecting information and thinking about it. And during that time, DMT, which at the time that we thought of this, it was pretty much an obscure drug. Rick Strassman had done his book, DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and done some, initial research at the University of New Mexico. But basically, only people that were really into psychedelics really even knew what it was. And in the last couple of years, there's been first of all, a renaissance in terms of psychedelic drug research. And there's been a great abundance of people who have been experimenting with DMT, partially thanks to Terence McKenna's talks that are, now you can find podcast recordings almost everywhere. But he used to be pretty rare to know about this. And so there's been a great abundance of reports on the internet to draw from, and there's been more and more DMT studies. They're doing extended state DMT studies at the Imperial College in London and elsewhere. And so we thought the time was finally right. And a couple of years ago, we began working on the project, and now it's been published in its final form by Intertraditions, and it's available from your favorite bookseller.
Very cool. How long did it take to create it? How long for you
Oh,
folks to do it?
it took about a year and a half, 2 years to put the book together and to edit it. But really, it was really it was around 14 years of, or maybe a lifetime really, of experience and in collecting information on the subject.
And Sarah, how did you go about to illustrate the entities? Where did you have some experiences where you saw them? How did you visually pull them into your mind to manifest them into the artwork?
Well, it was sort of tricky because ultimately I wanted to be more of like a paintbrush for the collective consciousness rather than focus on my own personal visions of the DMT entities. Over the years, I've created a lot of art from my own personal DMT experiences. And there's quite a few pieces. I think there's about 6 of those pieces included in the book towards the end of it under the artist appendix. But for the body of the book and the 25 different categories for these different entities, I really wanted to be able to sort of be faithful to an aggregate of people's experiences. So I really wanted everybody to be able to sort of like relate to them and tap into it from their own personal experience rather than have to look through it through the lens of like my DMT trips. A lot of the art was leveraged using AI as a way to tap into that collective consciousness, as a way to sort of draw upon humanity's collective imagination of all these different archetypes. So a lot of it was really spending time with language and the trip reports and prompt crafting, as well as doing the research and development to sort of understand how to engineer prompts to get closer to the visuals that would be faithful to what people describe. Yeah.
And with your experiences with DMT, have you seen some different types of beings yourself?
I've seen quite a few different kinds. Initially, I saw something that at the time I thought felt like acrobats or jesters or clowns. But over the years, I can't help but feel like some of my own personal experiences are kind of hybridized archetypes. I've seen things that look like squid-like octopi entities in spaceships in deep space. I've seen beautiful golden goddesses on bicycles. I've seen jesters and elves and self-transforming machine elves and sort of like Mesoamerican glyphs and carvings and languages, kind of like what you were talking about before. So yeah, I feel like I've seen a pretty good swath of various common entities. And I feel like it's almost like an ecosystem. You know, sometimes you'll get repeat things where you're like, I'm seeing a similar entity as another experience that I've had. But sometimes they're just completely novel and completely unique unto themselves. Like I only ever saw the octopus entity once. But yeah, I've seen quite a few weird things over there.
I've seen some aerial stuff that was kind of like golden and light and seemed kind of like it belonged in the ocean, but it was in the sky. Is that what you mean by an octopus, like some kind of aerial UFO or more like a creature?
This particular thing was a little bit more creature-like. It had a lot of tentacles. It was a very dark spaceship. It wasn't like dark in a scary sense. It was just very dim. It wasn't very well lit.
Was the octopus in the spaceship, or was it the spaceship itself? It was in it.
It was inside the spaceship.
We have some speculations. There's a wonderful Star Trek: The Next Generation episode called Tin Man, where the Romulans, the Federation, are racing towards an object they think might be some sort of living creature around a sun that's about to go nova. And when they get there, they find out that it's a living creature that's evolved itself into like internally, it's like set up like a spaceship. but somehow the crew died and the thing is depressed. It's going to try to kill itself. And the Federation brings a Betazoid dude to try to, talk to it. I'm not going to ruin it any more for you. You should check it out. It's a good story. But in reality, there's quite a bit of whistleblower testimony that says that some of the Greys ships are actually like bioengineered living creatures, essentially, that are bioengineered to do a function, and that is to provide a space and a vehicle for the Greys to travel through space. And that space inside, they have 3 spaces of 1 or 2 or 3 levels: a place to sleep and rest, a place to do scientific research, and a place for the engine so they can travel. But the craft has been described by some of experiencers as, when they touch it, as like, like imagine, like, I've never touched a whale, but imagine like touching a whale. It felt like you can imagine a whale feeling if you were to touch a whale for real, which is very strange to have a device that's actually alive.
Yeah, a lot of people describe the combination being and ship as a kind of plasma. There's been quite a lot of reports, and I've had personal experience with seeing these changing, flashing lights that seem to be intelligent and seem to have some kind of presence to them, that seem to be communicating with me in some way. And so I think that there's some type of relationship between these plasmoid entities and what many people describe as both UFOs and the entities themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, there's very little data, and the idea of the spaceships being alive, I've been researching this since I was like around 10 or 11, so about 48 years. And these things, the living spaceship things, it's relatively new. I mean, it's probably within, I wouldn't say any further back than maybe 30 years.
Oh
no! Sorry, I did that with my mind.
That's hilarious. Well,
goodness,
everybody gets a behind the scenes peek today of my messy bedroom. So there we go.
I have a screen like that up with a bunch of comic book boxes behind it that looks horrible. So I understand.
Sarah,
we had our Wizard of Oz moment.
On Amazon, they have a set of feet, and I don't think they're cheap. I think they're like 30 or 40 or $50, but they have 2 feet that you can put on the 2 end panels for those kind of triple panels.
Awesome.
So they won't rock backwards on it. So you can put it all the way straight and put those feet on it, and it'll stand there the whole time.
Very cool. Yeah, this is a new hand-me-down from a friend, so I'm getting used to it. But
I know you mentioned Mesoamerica. One of my experiences, I was, of course, tripping. It was Halloween, and there was a lake, and I saw some beings that were very hologram-like. They weren't physical, but they were very reptilian. One was humanoid that almost seemed like it had like dreadlocks, or first thought was, oh my God, Medusa, it has snakes for hair, but I'm not sure if that's what it was, but that was my first initial thought. And then with it was a Hydra, and I don't know if that was like its dog or just its friend, but it was very not physical, and I was tripping. And my first thought about it was, oh my God, it's the devil. I'm seeing fallen angels, because I'm from Georgia and my dad, Christianity. And I was like, oh my God, this is my Faustian moment. I'm in hell at the crossroads, and I'll never forget them ever. And the strangest thing about them was they start to say positive things like, I love you, dance, sing, like Deepak Chopra kind of stuff to me. So it was like a complete oxymoron of seeing these things that look like fallen angels from hell telling you positive stuff. And that night, that friend of ours almost drove us into the lake and acted possessed. There was just a lot of weird tomfoolery going on that night that was very bizarre. But the closest thing I've come to those things that I saw was there's like these Mayan oracle cards with glyphs in them, and it has like their gods. And I was like, this looks like the things I saw. It's giving me goosebumps now just talking about it. It's like they know you're talking about them if you even just mention them. But it was some of these entities like the reptilians and serpentines. What can you tell us about that from both of your perspectives, more about that kind of information?
Well, we have sections in our book on the reptilians, which are interestingly reported lizard-like beings, intelligent lizard-like beings that are reported in both the alien abduction literature and the DMT reports. And they're often not the friendliest from most of the reports, but there's not it's not entirely consistent. There are some reptilian beings that are reported to be wise and ancient, benevolent beings. So it's hard to generalize entirely, but it is commonly experienced, and the serpentine beings, serpents are commonly experienced during ayahuasca, both ayahuasca visions and as entities. Shamans are often reported to turn into Amazonian animals like jaguars and snakes and pythons. And so this is very common. Um, Jeremy Narby wrote a wonderful book called "The Cosmic Serpent," which is about how prevalent it is to see these twisting, intercoiled serpents throughout shamanic visions throughout the world. So his theory was that it relates to the DNA double helix, that people are tapping into some kind of genetic awareness. But it's hard to say what they are, but it certainly is a very commonly reported phenomena.
Cool. I found that book. I was checking it out, but yeah, that was definitely one you don't forget for sure, no doubt about it. And I know the reptilian thing comes up a lot in shamanism and things like that. And I know with DMT, like the time I did it was more like a smoking situation, and I saw that it was called the businessman's acid trip. It was short, and that's what I liked about it. But I know with ayahuasca, that's like a long time, isn't it, compared to just like DMT?
Well, ayahuasca is actually made with DMT. It's a brew of two different plants, one containing DMT and the other one containing what's called a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, an MOI inhibitor, which makes the DMT not only orally active, otherwise it's destroyed in the body's digestive system, but it not only makes it orally active by inhibiting monoamine oxidase, which breaks it down in the digestive system, but it also prolongs and extends the experience considerably from a 5 or 10 minute experience to 4 to 6 hours. So the experience is often much more digestible and much more relatable. People usually come back with more information that they can integrate into their lives. But the experience that I was describing in the beginning, where you're completely immersed in an alternative reality, is usually not achieved with ayahuasca. Usually, you have sort of one foot in this world and one foot in the next world. So you're sort of straddling these different worlds. But people certainly report a lot of entity contact with ayahuasca, but it's usually of a different type than the types that people report with pure DMT. There seems to be more of a connection to nature spirits and animal spirits and to ancestor spirits when people have ayahuasca journeys.
When people are under the influences of, do they see UFOs? Does that come up a lot where they see stuff in the sky? I know I've had that happen a lot of times where I've seen, and then you're like, have a witness that's not under the influence and you're making sure they see it, and then they do. You're like,
Yeah, it's commonly reported for sure, and it seems like there's a lot of interesting evidence that it's in certain states of consciousness that people somehow call or invoke UFOs to come to them. Some people claim to be able to do it at will, and when
Yeah,
they come, they are visible to anyone who's sharing the location with them.
definitely.
Mhm.
And what are some of the beings that you like to talk about that maybe normally you don't, or some info about some of these beings that you'd like to tell us? Like
You
from
want
the
you want some of
yeah,
the
just,
beings I don't usually like to talk about.
or
Um,
or some that you do, whatever you're comfortable. But I want to hear some being
Although
stories.
probably the most commonly reported beings are what Terence McKenna termed the self-transforming machine elves, and this also has sort of become a ubiquitous term that many people use to describe any beings that they encounter in the DMT hyperspace. And these are mischievous, elf-like, tyke-like beings that seem to be able to change their form at will, and often are, diving in and out of your body, and presenting you with gifts. These what Terence McKenna describes as like Fabergé-like eggs that sort of open up and keep opening up to greater levels of complexity that just seem absolutely impossible to exist, but somehow there you are in this 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional or 5-dimensional space with these beings, and they're just trying to show you things, and they're clamoring to show you things. So that's one of the more commonly experienced types of entities. The gray gray aliens that are sort of, with the large almond-shaped eyes, and the small mouths, and small noses, and tiny bodies with the large heads. They're also commonly reported, and they're said to often do different types of surgical procedures on people. And this is encountered, like I said, in both the UFO experiences and the alien abduction, as well as in the DMT experiences. Did you want to say something, Sarah?
No, I was saying hi to Jay's cat.
Okay.
It's too cute. I can't resist.
She's just a baby. I think she's barely a year. I think maybe a little over a year.
Little babies.
Yeah. But the type of being that I first experienced when I first did DMT back in 1983, I managed to smoke 3 large totes of this very noxious tasting substance, and just barely. And when I finished the 3rd hit, I found myself in this hyperspatial realm that I was able to see in 360 degrees, and I found myself quickly pinned down in this praying mantis, this large praying mantis entity was doing some kind of seemed like brain surgery on me, or adjusting or fine tuning something in my brain, and was testing me or experimenting on me, and it was a very frightening, really terrifying experience at the time, but that was really the experience that got me interested in this phenomena, and I don't think a day has gone by since that experience that I haven't wondered about it in some way or another. Do you want to talk about some of your experiences, Sarah?
Sure. I'm like, where the hell do I start? I want to mention that there's a really interesting passage in, I think it's True Hallucinations, where Terence is talking about a UFO experience he had with his brother in the Amazon on high dose psilocybin. That's a really fun one that kind of, dovetails with the UFO phenomenon for psychedelic users and stuff. But yeah, I find it interesting because in the years that I have utilized DMT for visionary work, I think the last experience I had about 5 years ago was probably the most intense I had ever had, but also really unnerving, and probably the reason why I haven't gone back in a while. And the reoccurring theme of like brain surgery and surgery in general is really interesting. You were mentioning, David, with the mantis being a surgeon. I'd actually just come across another trip report from someone being interviewed at a festival, and they had a mantis surgeon do brain surgery on them in their DMT trip. So it's uncanny how specific the details can get at times. But I had an experience it's so bizarre because they're totally uncategorizable in this particular experience for me. I went through the threshold of the fractal wormhole kind of experience, and the language everywhere, and you kind of lose touch with your body, and then you end up in this other realm. But it was totally realized for me this time. It was I could see a horizon, and I could see flora and fauna, and it was an alien planet. And these 2 beings approached me, and they were completely absorbent of light. They were just black silhouettes, and I couldn't tell if they had some kind of cloaking going on. And initially it was a little unnerving because you're like, oh, these like silhouettes are coming at me. I don't know. I'm an 80s baby, so they reminded me of the end of the movie Ghost with this scary, like little black demon goblins coming at you, but they weren't nefarious. Like they didn't have scary energy. They just were completely absorbing light. And so I couldn't actually see them. And I wondered what the motivation behind that was. That was weird. But they approached me with this like object that, for lack of a better word, Terrence probably would have called it a Fabergé egg. It was a transforming object that was kind of like a cosmic Rubik's Cube in my perspective. And it was purple and black and folding in on itself, you know, just creating these different geometric matrices. And they were using it like a diagnostic tool, trying to ask me if I could understand the math in it, if I could perceive and see the structures and forms inside it that they wanted me to see. And I was really excited. I was like, yeah, I can totally see that. That's great. And they were like, okay, well, can you see this? And they would just adjust it as they were trying to analyze how far my perception went into that dimensional display. And after that, a weird female entity sort of like did a trepanation on my skull. And she looked into it like a big hollow empty gourd. And she started tinkering around in there doing brain surgery. It didn't feel like violating or invasive. It felt like I was a little kid at a doctor's office and they were trying to help me. But this was after they had done like a body scan. So very similar experience to some folks have on ayahuasca, these spirit surgeons. But yeah, it was definitely more real than real. I think that was the unsettling part of it, was that even though it was very beautiful and I felt very cooperative, you never know like how much you're being manipulated, because like they come across as such sophisticated entities. They can do whatever they want to you over there. So I'm like, am I really being cooperative, or are they just cajoling me into being passive? But yeah, that experience opened up some weird sort of paranormal things immediately afterward in my dream space that I had mixed feelings about. And so I just sort of took a break, even though the experience itself was like very fantastic, just with the hyper reality and the depth of it, and that it was definitely the furthest I've gone in many years of exploration. But yeah, even starchy psychonauts get weirded out sometimes. So that was my last trip 5 years ago.
So now, the device that you talked about, I think I've seen those types of patterns before. Now, I've never taken DMT to my knowledge, but I've had some other chemical experiences. Is it more of a fractal, or is it more of a like a moire pattern? You know, like a never-ending pattern. It's more of a fractal, so it's like a device. It's like, yeah, so I think I would enjoy seeing one of those on a good LSD hit, but
it was really beautiful. It was insanely beautiful. I wish that this dimension could, cool. I wish this dimension could support, you know, faithful art for it.
Apparently, the only thing this dimension supports is trees, leaves transforming into little green nerds, candy dudes, talking to each other in groups of 2s and 3s. That's about the only thing I've come across so far.
Right. I'm talking Monkey Club over here.
And I've always tried to figure out what those little beings I saw that were in the cloaks, that kind of seem like Jawas but skinny.
They're like kobolds. I was thinking earlier, they sound the most like kobolds of the different entities that we cover in the book, which are a Germanic mining creature.
Like a dog-like creature, yeah.
They normally wear hoods.
They do, yeah. They're little cloaked guys. At least in Whitley Strieber's Contact. What was the name of that one, David?
I'm forgetting, but I think, this is the section on gnomes, I think, that we have in the book that they fall.
Yeah, gnomes, kobolds, and goblins.
I had been reading some Celtic otherworld kind of stuff and wondered if that attracted it, like stuff like that about the Celtic otherworld, like the Druid books and stuff. So certainly possible, but I always wonder about the little black box, though. And then, of course, what is that? Phantasm, those little dwarfs.
Yeah,
they'll creep you out.
that silver ball. Oh no, that was Phantasm. Never mind. Getting my
that,
horror movies mixed up there.
it happens. So, what's next on y'all's agenda book wise? Are y'all gonna do anything else together, or what's going on?
We're currently working on a project right now with for Inner Traditions. We're creating an oracle deck, a tarot-like deck that's based on the different DMT entities that Sarah illustrated in the book, and we're
Nice.
putting it together as a way of communicating. Anyone can communicate with these entities by using the deck. So that's in the works, and that'll be available soon.
That's cool. That's
I don't
really
do
cool.
tarot, but I figured I'd show you guys this. It's the Trick or Treat Tarot. Barbara
Ah,
Moore. We interviewed her. She was
Uh-huh.
very cool. And then these cards are like, it's got like the MGM, classical monsters, Frankenstein, Dracula, et cetera, et cetera. The Scooby Doo gang is in here. All kinds of old, horror type genres from 60s, 70s, 80s. It's very cool.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of
it's-
the old Universal monster movies. They're fantastic.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, the Universal monsters. Yes, thank you.
There's actually a Universal Monsters Tarot, I believe. That's
I
actually
wouldn't doubt it.
it's on Amazon. I have it. It's pretty good. But
Yeah.
my favorite though, there's a Vlad the Impaler. It's called the Dracula Tarot by Travis McHenry. Really creepy, but I love it. It reenacts the historical Vlad the Impaler in tarot form.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
no Lost
Yeah,
Boys.
it's good. No, it's
Yeah.
just the historical. No fantasy. It's just the real Vlad the
Lost Boys is
Impaler.
pretty good as far as updated
Yeah.
vampire movies go. Lost Boys doesn't suck. Anything after it does.
The Lost Boys was filmed right here in Santa Cruz where I live. It's one of my
That's
favorite
cool.
vampire films. Yeah,
I
it's
love that movie.
fantastic. Yeah, one of the best.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Allegedly, they were supposed to do the second one was going to be werewolves, and then I think they actually made a second one with all girls that went after like a golem, like a Frankenstein kind of thing. And then maybe there was going to be a TV show talk of it, but they never came back to do none. That could have been a good movie franchise. Bam, bam, bam. Those three actors could have made a lot of money.
It's still classic to this day, Lost Boys.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was classic the day it came out.
yeah. It's
a good
one of the
one.
very best.
One of my favorite. I love Lost Boys, but Fright Night's a favorite.
That's another good one. Fright Night comes before Lost Boys, so it doesn't fall in the zone of death after Lost Boys.
There's a sequel to Fright Night that's pretty good too. There's
another one of my favorites is called Let the Right One In. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
That's a really creepy one. Really powerful
one.
Yeah.
The new
you guys seen Near Dark?
Yeah, that's a good one. I've seen it. Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Anne Rice too. I love her vampire novels.
And
why don't we hear of more vampires in the DMT space? There's so many demons and angels and goblins. Like, I don't think I've ever come across somebody talking about a vampire.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. That's
vampires allegedly can't see themselves in the mirror, so maybe they can't. Mirrors is sometimes said to be.
Maybe they're just trapped in this dimension, and there's no astral body for them out there. And that's part of like their curse, is that they're just stuck being corporeal exclusively.
Exactly. Well, that makes sense because they can't die, right?
Well, no, that's not true. They must also every 24 hours rest on the native soil where they were born.
Yes, that's right.
So they take their feet away from Earth. They're
But is there ever any parasitical type entities? Because that could be vampiric, like a shadow being or something. Not to say all shadow beings are, but does parasitical things show up in some of these experiences, or is it always positive usually?
Oh, there's definitely negative things that happen.
People certainly from ayahuasca experiences, people report that sometimes a parasitic entity will latch onto them and stay onto them after the ayahuasca experience happens. It's definitely not necessarily a positive experience. That's why shamans are usually necessary to help people, to help guide them through the experience, so they have a healing, benevolent experience instead of encountering parasitic entities that'll latch onto them like giant mosquitoes.
Any of the mind altering chemicals, the hallucinatory type, the really strong ones, the mushrooms and LSD and whatnot. You can't let a first time experience that stuff alone. And when I was in college, I I'd already had quite a bit of experience with it when I went to Connecticut for away from home college. But my friends and I were dabbling in it just about every weekend. And one weekend we had fun. One of the people that was with was a first time experiencer, and I don't know, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I was like, I'm going to go to my dorm. And I went to my dorm just to go finish, trip my own balls off. And then the girl that was with us, they abandoned her, and she started losing it. She called everybody, nobody called. And the campus was, her dorm was over here, like where the UPRN thingy is, right there. And my dorm was over here, where it says Doomsday J. So I had to walk all the way across the campus in winter to go help this girl out, because my friends just. And part of the reason why she was losing it is they left the movie Dune from 1984, but not the theatrical release, the director's release that came out in the 80s on Fox Television. And
I'd be in heaven though.
I mean, it's one of my favorite movies, but she was not a sci-fi person, and
absolute mind meld. Yeah. Like if you're not a tripper or a big nerd, like that would be so overwhelming so fast.
Yeah.
And your friends leave you, and you're like stuck on Arrakis, tripping balls. Yeah.
She had no idea what to do. I mean, she was losing her absolute.
Had too much spice.
My French.
Yeah. Well, I mean, psychedelics are, people describe them as non-specific brain amplifiers. So they amplify whatever's going on, positive or negative. That's why set and setting is so important. But people have different thresholds for being able to handle it. I mean, I had a very close friend who did mushrooms and went to go see Silence of the Lambs and loved it. So I mean, people.
It is a good movie. The book's better. The book is way better. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I can remember when I was first, I think it was shrooms or tripping. I don't remember one of them, but I was at a friend's house and we were all there, and I walked in on the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings animation. And then that was it. That was one of the big ones for me. I love all those. Even the
funny thing with that cartoon though, Jeffries, everyone calls it an animated story. It's not. It's a rotoscope. So what it is particularly like the battle scenes, if you look really closely, there's live action footage underneath the cartoons they drew over top of the people in the film. So most of it is that, but there's quite a few parts where they couldn't rotoscope, like a cave and that kind of thing. So parts of it are actual drawn, but for the most part, especially when you see the human characters, they're almost always portrayed by a live action actor that's been drawn over on the celluloid.
Yeah, I really like Ralph Bakshi's films, especially especially Fritz the Cat. That was my favorite. I saw that when I was around 13 years old and really loved it. But I don't know if you know, but he actually ripped off a number of artists. He ripped off Robert Crumb, and he ripped off Vaughn Bodie when he did Wizards. So he wasn't the most ethical filmmaker, but some of his films really are wonderful, I have to admit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were a lot of fun. I mean, particularly, I remember. I don't remember how exactly old I was when the Lord of the Rings movie came out, but I had just either read The Hobbit or just seen The Hobbit in a play, and then this came on TV, so it was a banner year.
Yeah.
Hold on, finding my unmute. I have a lot of dogs, so I have to mute a lot. But the Oracle sounds great. I mean, there's not, it's hard to find ones that are like that as far as paranormal. And I think I found some unexplained tarot by Dave Zillow that had like Bigfoot and stuff in it recently on sale. But that type of subject matter, we need more of it. So that's great that y'all are doing that. Like the UFO tarot and stuff. There's some of them out there, but not a lot, so you're definitely be tapping into something that sounds like it's going to be interesting for sure. And it's always interesting with the oracles and tarot. Like I have the Native American ones and stuff like that, but the medicine ones and things, how they tap into that energy. So how are you orchestrating that with the entities? And I mean, it's complicated, isn't it? Making all that stuff for that. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the things that we were inspired with our co-author Rachel Turetsky was the eight circuit model of consciousness that was pioneered by Timothy Leary with Exopsychology, his book. But yeah, we really wanted to be able to find a system that would resonate with the idea of the entities as sort of like these layered mirrors of consciousness, like mirroring human evolution and our own path to higher consciousness. And so we sort of took a broad perspective of the entities and then sort of looked at like what parts of human psychology they resonate with. And then we sort of applied them to where they would fit into that eight circuit model of consciousness. Which sort of goes from the basic survival circuits to terrestrial social circuits, and then onward to extraterrestrial and what other phrase would we use, David? I mean, it's like
I think the word
transcendental. Yeah.
or post-terrestrial rather than
Post-terrestrial. I
extraterrestrial.
like that better. Yeah. That's more accurate.
There's also another term that is used a little less frequently called ultra-terrestrials, and that usually is to describe either time traveler or dimensional traveler type entities and machines.
And entities that don't come from other star systems but are present right here.
Well, they might come from other stars, just not in this dimension.
Yeah, there was an interesting book I read. I think it was called Ultra Terrestrial. Was that the name of it? And it was about, but that was the theory, is that a lot of the beings that people see as extraterrestrial are really coming from inside the Earth or under the ocean or somewhere right on our own planet, and they're not really coming from elsewhere. So.
Ultra.
But you brought up a Bigfoot and Sasquatches, which I'm also very interested in, and a lot of people relate them to paranormal phenomena and to UFOs. They're very commonly seen with UFOs and appearing and disappearing, and I haven't ever heard of people encountering them on DMT. But I did recently read a book on Bigfoot that utilized DMT as a theory for helping to explain how they sort of come in and out of our dimension, because sometimes they just vanish. They're, the leading theory that they're just some type of unclassified ape doesn't seem to really describe all the different reports that people have where they almost have paranormal or almost seemingly supernatural abilities.
Well, you're right on almost all of that. The thing with the UFOs is, and I saw, I don't remember the name of it, but it was like they did like a telethon. It was like a 6-hour show on, I think, ABC. And I think it was Mike Farrell from MASH who was the host. And they did all kinds of, they talked about a survey in the 50s where people thought there was about 12 different types of aliens visiting the planet. And there was another survey they did for the show. And at the end of the show, they revealed that most of the people on the planet thought that maybe there were 4, 5, or 6 different species visiting the planet. But I have come across a book it's as yet unvetted, but there are 2 of them. One allegedly comes out of the Russian special access programs, and the other one comes out of the United States special access programs. And both books are called the Alien Book. And they're like a catalog of about 80 or 90 different species, within which they describe 5 different types of gray aliens. Number 1 of which is they absolutely start off with are the Zeta Reticulans, the main grays here. But they also have a creature, and I forget its name. Basically, it is Chewbacca. It's a 9-10 foot hairy great ape type creature, and this type creature has technology. It might have a transporter. It might have a levitation device, like the Greys levitate things up to their ships, and people have seen this. And I think the problem is the Bigfoot that I saw is 100% human. The face was human. I was 10 feet from its face, and it screamed at me too. And I will never forget that or the smell. The smell was god awful, but the face had no fur on it. It had fur everywhere else, the whole body, but the eyes, the nose, it had a mustache around the upper lip, a goatee, and a soul patch around the chin. But everywhere else, the cheeks, all skin. But he was elderly. I could see wrinkles. and the eyes were unmistakably human. 100%.
Mhm.
We had
Fascinating.
we had a
Yeah.
police officer on once, Dennis Carroll. That's when he was on duty. He saw one up close, and it phased into a tree and vanished. Like it phased away. So they have some kind of cloaking ability.
Well, that's what leads me to believe people are mistaking two different creatures for one. I think the second creature is a Bigfoot-like creature. It may not be an ape. It may be some other type of animal that has a lot of hair and walks upright. Bear. It could be based on a bear. Don't know. The Yeti that we know of in Nepal, its behaviors are bear-like. It scratches markings on its territory. It aggressively chases things out of its territory, whereas the Bigfoot, expresses ape-like behavior. It hides behind objects, and I don't have to turn my camera on for this one, but a lot of times they'll be behind a tree and they'll do this, trying to figure out what's going on so that they can get away from us. They actively avoid us. That much I can tell you. They get curious like we do about them, and that's when they get caught when they do something stupid like stop and look at us. But they are extremely intelligent. The creature I encountered had to have been more than 10 feet tall. We were in Boardman, Ohio. I was 8, 9, or 10. And my cousins had about 20 feet from the house it was called the Abraham Lincoln Log Cabin, like his birthplace. It was just a playhouse for kids. And it just made out of pine. And it had a gabled roof. It was 20 feet from the house. We were on the second floor, and this creature was looking in the window at us, watching us jump on the beds and make noise. And then when he saw me seeing him watching us, he went and he screamed at me. I can't do the scream. I'm not even going to try. But then we all booked downstairs to where the babysitter was. And there we see this enormous creature jump off of that little toy hut into their sandbox, which was right next to it. And then there was another, I'd say half acre. No, I don't know. There was at least another 100 feet to the next yard. And he took 2 steps and he was in it. From the middle of my cousin's backyard, it took him 2 steps and he was gone.
How old were you again?
Between 8, 9, or 10. Don't remember the exact year. It's in the mid to late 70s, 72, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. And so anyway, the next day, my older cousin and I, we went out and we followed him. We saw 2 huge footprints in the sandbox. We saw on the gable where he was standing, his feet had crushed in the boards. On the outside of the house, on the siding, were 2 huge not paw prints, 5-fingered handprints outside the window where he was doing that thing. And then had been raining, so he left deep impressions in the grass. And we followed him through the next yard, and at the 3rd yard, he made a sharp right into the woods where there's a creek, where he went left or right. Evasion tactics, standard military evasion tactics. You don't keep leaving footprints when you know you're leaving footprints. You walk where you don't leave footprints. He went through the water. It was very cool. And we did a show with Jeff and one of our friends that we deep dived the area where it was, and where those woods and things where he could easily have escaped. It's a very industrial area of Ohio. It's right outside of Youngstown. But there's quite a bit of trees where the neighborhoods are, and there's plenty of room for them to escape and go unnoticed.
Jay thinks they're physical only. I'm not so sure. If a physical only Bigfoot dies, does it emit a ghost and have a quantum version of itself? So
it's like that. It has a soul. Yes, it does.
So then that people could be seeing the quantum version of itself and the physical. So there's more going on than meets the eye. I've interviewed Stan Gordon about Pennsylvania and UFO Bigfoot sightings. That gets pretty weird. Like, he's a serious investigator, Stan Gordon, that's chronicled that stuff for a long time and has some books on it. It gets really weird. I love it. And then, of course, Small Town Monsters does a lot of stuff on their documentaries about that. But one thing I wanted to ask, and whoever wants to answer, feel free. I know with trauma, and I've done some shows about it, I think that's why I've had some experiences. It opens your senses up. suffering, so to speak. And I know DMT and things like that are healing and a shamanic experience, and it's definitely an ointment to heal trauma, isn't it? What can you tell us about that?
Well, it can be. I mean, ayahuasca is used in the Amazon by shamans, in healing rituals and ceremonies to help people heal. I think that the primary reason that it helps is, and the reason that all psychedelics can have therapeutic potential is because they amplify what physicians and researchers call the placebo effect. The power of the mind to heal the body is I think one of the most important and really unacknowledged aspects of medicine. And what psychedelics do is they're amplifiers of whatever's going on in the mind. So they amplify the placebo effect, or in other words, the power of the mind to heal the body. So I think it has great potential. Certainly, there's been a lot of research, by MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, and the Efter Foundation, to look at, say, MDMA and how it helps with post-traumatic stress disorder, and how it helps to many people report healing from traumas. LSD was used to help people heal from concentration camp traumas, and studies that were done in Holland years ago. So but it's like I said earlier, it's a double-edged sword. The psychotherapist or the shaman has to really know what they're doing, because if it doesn't, it can actually cause trauma. Many people are traumatized by their psychedelic experiences. So I think one of the best ways to look at it is the model that Timothy Leary, psychologist Timothy Leary, used, was that it helps one to sort of re-imprint different conditioning or patterns in the brain that we accidentally get when we're children, or times in our life when we have and when we're kind of predisposed to being vulnerable, like as young children, or during adolescence. And what psychedelics do is they kind of bring us back to that period of imprint vulnerability, so that we can make new imprints, and recondition ourselves. And it has to be done with great care and expertise, or at least in a proper, positive set and setting, or else it can work against you.
Yeah,
But
I was
but
going to interject that you could, what it was particularly with lysergic acid, that it can open new pathways of thinking in the brain, new directions that the nerves and what have,
yeah.
the neurons and what all work up there. And if like you said, if you do it wrong, you could cause brain damage. And I think part of the problem with LSD was not the effects of it, but was that such a low dose. I mean, micrograms of dosage. I mean, very very little, and it's hard to gauge that. I mean, with people have been for years, getting in trouble for drunk driving. You know, some guy who blows a 0.10 or 0.09, it may not be as affected as a 5'2" person who weighs 90 pounds soaking wet and drank the same amount. So you have to weigh the size of the body with the amount of dosage, and it's hard to do that with that kind of chemical. Even with beer, again, like I said, you can test people and they can all blow 0.9 or 1.0. You got a 5'2" guy who weighs 90 pounds and a 6'7" guy who weighs 280. They both drank 12 beers. Which guy's the drunkard? Probably the little dude, but
Mhm.
sometimes not. So it's hard to figure that stuff out.
One thing I
Yeah.
liked about DMT is I didn't freak out and think I was dying on it, like I've done with some of the other stuff I've done before, where you freak out and just think you're not going to make it the tail end of it. That's why
Yeah, well,
DMT is more friendly.
it's very common for people to think that they're dying on psychedelics, and psychedelics in many ways sort of simulate a near-death experience, because in some ways, your ego does die, a part of you does die. It often gives people, some kind of insight into what they think happens after the physical death of the body, because even though your personality or your sense of self does seem to dissolve, there's a higher part of you that remains.
What about as beings of light come up any? That's one of my big ones. Is that a being that's reflected at all in any of the creatures? Like
Yeah,
women?
we have a section on that in the book on beings of light, and they tend to be amorphous, plasma-like, luminous entities that don't really have any particular shape or form, and they're generally reported as being positive encounters, angelic type beings. Sarah did a wonderful job illustrating them in the book.
That's a good segue because I just found a really cool. I believe this is one of hers from your book, and this struck me as something that I had seen before, and not in this particular configuration. Let me go see. Can I make
Oh
this?
yeah, that's Alex Gray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Alex Gray's depiction of a DMT molecule. That's actually
Yeah.
The
Well,
DMT molecule.
Like a Sara Phinn, like a
have you
six-winged angel.
ever seen the René Laloux animated in France? It's called Gandahar. In America, it was called Light Years.
Yeah, I thought of that earlier actually when we were talking about rotoscoped animations. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool. There's some rotoscoping there too. I just watched it the other night. So the synchronicity there.
Classic.
This kind of reminded me of some of the imagery that's in that movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
this is an example of one of Sarah's depictions of one of the beings of light in the book.
Yeah, that one has a little bit more of like a structured shape, but I was kind of inspired by some of the descriptions people had that they remind them of the aliens from the abyss.
David, what page was that illustration you put up?
Oh, let me see if I can find it again. I just closed it.
I may put it up there bigger if I can put it in here on this screen.
Yeah, it's on page 276.
All right. I don't know.
I got you.
All at the beginning. Yeah. Let me go the other way.
I interviewed Alex Gray once. It was many moons ago. It was in written form and in a magazine. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, Alex is an old friend. Yeah, he did the cover of one of my books.
Cool.
Voices from the Edge.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of his pieces in our field guide. The field. We have a number of other artists besides Sarah contributed to the book. Luke Brown and Allison Gray, and there's about 50 other artists in the book as well. So it was really a community project.
Well, Amazon won't let me look at page 276, but
you have the PDF. Should be in there. But
I couldn't find it. I don't know if he sent it. I'll keep looking, but I don't find it.
You have it in your email, but you might have lost it. I can send it again. But well, it's been we're gonna close out soon, and it's been great having you guys on, and definitely keep us in the loop for the Oracle, and we'll get you on for that and talk about that because I love those, and I love Intertraditions. I've been working with them for a million years. Since 18 years, a long time. So anything to help them out and anything to help you out with the Oracle and to get the message out. It's about raising consciousness against the madness, and the madness is aplenty. The madness is aplenty lately, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But thanks so much. Do you have a website or anything you want to share?
Well, my website is www.davidjbrown, Jay middle name is fully spelled out, .com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And once again, this is our book.
Yeah, definitely go to Amazon, or that's the best place to get it. It's awesome. So everybody go out and grab you one for sure.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. That was really fun.
You got and do you want to say your website, Sarah?
Oh, my website's down, but people can come find me my YouTube channel, dreamseed_VR, and they can also find me on Instagram with the same handle, dreamseed_VR. And when my website's up, I'll let everybody know. It's just temporarily down.
Everything.
Well, this has been great fun. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, y'all have a great weekend. And
you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All righty, let's see. Listen to United Public Radio, 107.7 FM New Orleans. And we're all still alive and, as usual, moshing to the apocalypse. And there's been a lot of heat in Florida and bugs, and I'm not going outside till fall. So there. I'm going to turn into an albino pretzel. I don't care.
That's kind of twisted.
That's right. Dip me in cheese and call it a squeeze.
There's a pub right up the street, like 2 blocks. It's walking distance, and they have giant soft pretzels. I'm in Pennsylvania, number 1. Number 2, they have your choice of either pub cheese or like melted, like a nacho cheese. Both are good. But then they have a stuffed pretzel that's like this long, and it's just gobbed with stuffed crab. It is amazing.
Sounds delicious.
If you like blue crab, Maryland, well, I'm in Pennsylvania, but Maryland blue crab is fantastic stuff.
They had a Jesus Christ section. I didn't ask about that.
Oh, they had a lot of subjects in that book. I mean, I was looking at the appendices, and good God, I mean, they talk about every creature known to man, or every supernatural creature, that is. Gnomes,
Let me see if I can resend it on Facebook.
I found it, but it came up corrupted. It won't open up in the email. So
I had a famous man reach out to me and look for me. L.W. Marshall from the Graylian Report, Micah Hanks. Used to interview Micah Hanks a lot back in the day. I haven't talked to him in a while, but this guy asked me to be on a show. I may do it sometime, but right now stress is kind of high. He's writing a book about the Graylian Report for Micah, and he remembers my interview with Micah and something I said about superheroes and UFOs.
Right.
He says, I've been researching the UFO NHI subject, fed up with the government angle. I've been focusing to those who have had experiences. And I recall years ago you spoke to Micah on the Graylian Report about having cancer and wishing to be a superhero than having experiences. So when I feel a little bit better, I may stop by. Yeah, there he goes. Yawn. I'm glad someone freaking remembers me out there. So there you go. But Edgar, of course, you start right now. Oh, I haven't done a guest appearance in a million years, so I'm hesitant.
See you, Mish. I'm going to probably do a guest spot with Carrie Lynn on Cat Ward's show coming up. I don't know when, but at some point. They want to talk about spontaneous human combustion, something that I've looked at, but I haven't heard anything from that realm in 40 years. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I haven't heard anything on spontaneous human combustion in at least 40 years.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but not anything new. Like just old stuff. Very weird. Very weird. It's a creepy thing.
Yeah.
Definitely a strange phenomenon.
Well, the strange part about it, and what I recall, is that every case, get out of there, cat. Every case, there's always been left over like a right arm and a left leg, or a left arm and a right leg. It's never the same side appendages left. Everything else is gone. Both, they're left with, the rest of the body is mostly ash, and usually there's like an arm on the chair and like a leg on the floor, like partial. It's the weirdest thing.
Satellites. Lasers from space.
They're up there. Allegedly, Putin has some.
Wouldn't surprise me if they can aim one at you and blow you up now.
Well, we got the tungsten rods up there. I don't know how long it is, but it's a tungsten metal rod, and they just drop it on a city, and it's equivalent to a nuclear device.
Whose rods?
Nuclear device.
Whose rods in space?
I don't know if it's part of the HARP program, or I actually think the HARP program is bullshit, but there seems to be a lot of people who think that there's these metal rods that you can just, I mean, there was, what was it in? It was in, I think it was in one of the Transformers movies. No, G.I. Joe. It was G.I. Joe.
Everything's weird.
Yeah, Kurt, I don't know what they're calling them, but they're made out of tungsten, and it's a tungsten rod, and I don't know how long it is. 50-foot piece of metal. But it's enough velocity when it hits the earth, it detonates to the equivalent of, like, I think 100 kilotons, something like that.
I don't know if I want to see the rod of God in space.
It's apparently 100 times more effective than the Hiroshima bomb.
It's a big bukkake.
Yeah.
It'll drop it. But man, we got about 40 minutes.
42 minutes. What do you want to talk about? We got all kinds. We can keep talking about tungsten rods if you want.
We're just gonna meditate. If you want to go to my job and save it, even though it's a political pee hole, you can go to beforeitsnews.com. Right now, its traffic's very low. Somebody tried to hack it and send all this traffic at once to it to knock it down the other night. So now the traffic's all weird. I know who it was.
Who?
It was Deep State.
Oh.
Deep State. I don't know who it was. It was the Deep State. The deep fried state. You think the deep state's run by reptilians with credit cards? That's what I heard.
To be honest, I don't think the reptilians, the greys, the mantids, or the light beings have any real interest in anything that we actually do.
Do you think there's a deep state that they seem to like blame everything on?
There's definitely a deep state, but it's not run by aliens. It's run by, pompous, arrogant humans who think they know better than the rest of us.
But don't you think if there was one that he could find it and like get them, arrest them, or whatever? They're like really good at hiding. Apparently, I think there's something to it, but I also think it's like a weird excuse to just like have an enemy and blame it on someone. The deep state. They might be something to it, but they use it a little bit to their advantage.
I think that most of the news organizations are using it as a scare tactic, get people to vote one way or the other. The fact this does exist, but there isn't anything that any of us can do about it without being shot at.
I saw that on that somewhere that there was reptilians that have their own credit cards.
Don't be surprised.
We're going to take away their credits.
Look, if we had Star Trek level technology and we rolled up on this planet, we could easily hide from the people of the time for decades, and we could easily forge our own bank accounts, credit card accounts, false histories. It wouldn't be that hard.
I don't trust any of it. Come here, Edgar. Quit snoring.
There he is. Has he got a harness on?
Yes, because he keeps trying to hump everyone. So he's on a leash. Why are you interrupting the show?
He's not. What kind of dog is he?
Boston Terrier.
No, he's not. He's an attention hound. That's why he's interrupting the show. He's an attention hound, just like my dog. It's not German Shepherd. It's an attention hound.
You need to put him in the classifieds, bang some chicks for money.
Yep. Stud him out.
Yeah, I don't have no papers, but some people may not care. I mean, It looks like one. He won't stop. He just tries to bang everything. Bangs everything.
It's good to have ambitions. That may be a little bit, of a weird one, but it's good to have ambition.
Yeah, I need some money. I'm gonna hoe him out. It's supposed to be a movie called Havoc with Tom Hardy in it. It's supposed to be good on Netflix.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier.
Quentin Tarantino was talking it up. He called it chaos, and they had to correct him. He's probably on the cocaine, on the coca. But we've had Robert Duncan on, former CIA, who designed some kind of equipment that he designed some equipment that the CIA used to manipulate people or harm people with energy weapons, and he's a whistleblower. So there's weird stuff. That probably put me on a list. They're probably zapping me. Just
I
for
wouldn't be
saying
surprised if
things.
I'm on their list either, to be honest with you.
They're probably zapping me right now for just talking about it. Targeted individual. But gosh, what's on? I don't even know what I've been watching. I've been watching some calm thing on HBO where it has like Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba like narrating these little things in space and stuff.
I saw that. Oh, that looks interesting. I haven't checked it out yet.
It's called Calm.
Yeah. I was going to go back and rewatch season 2 of Andor again.
Yeah, I need to start it.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I think it was better than the first season, but I don't think there's going to be another one. Or there's going to be only one more.
Yeah.
I think it's either 2 seasons or 3 seasons long.
What's going on with Star Trek? There's nothing going on.
I think they're in either development hell or some other nonsense.
Everything sucks. Oh, I'm watching Duster. It's not bad. It's on HBO. It's by J.J. Abrams. I forget the dude from Lost is in it. Sawyer. I think that's him. And it's kind of like, I guess, in the 70s. It's kind of like Banshee, that show, but it's different in its own way. It's J.J. Abrams. So you're like, is there going to be some time travel? I don't think it's going to get that weird, but it's about a dude that has a car that's a Duster. And the guy should play Frankenstein. He's got a big forehead. But the show's called Duster. I think that's Sawyer from Law.
I hadn't heard that one, Kurt. He wants to know if we've seen the Eric Prince interview of a CIA assassin. I haven't.
Have you seen the weird thing of the dude going around that's like Arabian? They say he's the Antichrist, and then he's saying we're the Antichrist, and he's got all these people around him and stuff. It's really weird.
No, I hadn't heard that either.
I'd have to
Not surprised though. There's a lot of there's 4 different areas in conflict right now with war. So it would not surprise me that there's a bunch of fanatics running around claiming to be one thing or the other.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find it. It's this weird dude. It looks like a government psyop. I don't know. It's out there, but I lack the strength to look for it. I saw a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff going around now. I can't find anything on it.
There's been some pretty neat. We talked about this on one of the other shows. Some pretty cool things coming out of Africa. Did you hear about the weird 8 pillars they found under the pyramid of Khafre?
No.
Yeah, apparently they found these. They're side by side, 4 by 4, 8 pillars underneath the pyramid. Yeah. Strange.
Weird. What are they doing?
I don't know. They're not. I mean, it's very, very early, very preliminary. But I guess they did like a LiDAR or sonar thing on the floor, and they found these objects. But they're not sure if they're solid or if they're tubes, or if they do know, they haven't said. The possibility is in Egyptian lore, there's a thing called the Jed pillar, and a Jed pillar is basically, in modern terms, a Tesla coil. So maybe they're Tesla coils that used to power the complex. I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah, we know that in Dendera there are depictions of what are, I mean, it can be claimed as an artistic rendition, but they're light bulbs, for lack of a better term.
Good old light bulbs.
But they're the old school type light bulbs, the Tesla style, not the Edison style. So Edison's light bulbs were disposable. The gas would evaporate eventually, or the filament would break eventually, and the light bulb would become useless. Tesla's were reusable. So unless the glass broke, if your filament busted apart, you took the light bulb to the Tesla store, and they would give you a new one, and you take it back with you. They would take yours that was broken, put it in the shop, and some guy would put in a new filament, and fill it with gas, and voila, you have a brand new working light bulb. The U.S. government didn't like this because, number one, Tesla was going to give away electricity for free, and number two, he was going to, sell the light bulbs for a minimal price, but it's a lifetime purchase. You buy one light bulb whenever it breaks or fails, you bring it back and get another one. U.S. government didn't like this because they can't put a meter on that. They like to put meters on things so they can tax the living shit out of us.
Yeah, that's what they do.
And that's why they got rid of Tesla and took his technology and let him die as a pauper in a hotel room in New York.
So we're really going to get some Trumplegooch checks. I don't believe it.
That's what they're saying. It doesn't seem to be fake. I mean, if if they don't do it, there's going to be a lot of payback.
I mean, I see all these videos about it's supposed to be happening, but I ain't got no check from nobody else for sure. I ain't heard nobody getting no check. So they taking.
Well, the only people that are going to get them are those who paid their taxes this year.
Yeah.
Or filed a tax return this year, whether you paid or got a return, either or.
Yeah. Even that DOGE.
Yeah, the Doge. Yeah, I mean, that those two are having some kind of weird love affair. But this really strange thing about Doge, never had any kind of association with Democrats or the Republicans or government in any way, shape, or form, except that he, contracted some stuff to the government for his space programs. Great, but he finds all this fraud and irresponsible spending and just like the IRS paying out a dude who's 605 years old. I mean, come on. They're mad at him for finding the fraud, not mad at the people who perpetrated the fraud and or allowed it to go unchecked for the last 50, 60, 100 years, whatever it was.
I thought why were they saying he had a black eye recently?
I have no idea.
I just saw something saying he had a black eye. He's in the black eye club now.
Wow. Elon's trying to get U.S. Steel in Pennsylvania? Huh. Well, I mean, I guess if he probably needs the material for his space program and or, building domes for Mars here on Earth so they'll be prefabbed to just put together on Mars. You think he's going to go? You think he's going to make it, Jeff?
No, he's going to die in a fiery inferno. I
don't think he's going to make it, but I think his children will, and I think some of, younger people today will. I don't think I'll make it. He plans to be there by 2030, but I think he's making waves of progress, but
is he
a lot of setbacks.
Is he a Nazi? Why did he do the Nazi salute?
Oh, because he's an idiot on top of being a billionaire.
Stupid. People burning down his buildings in Italy.
Yeah. Trump's on Mars, yep.
I find this administration disturbing. They're all disturbing, but this one's really creepy.
Well, I mean, this one's really creepy because the fact that he's doing what he said. He's draining the swamp, and he's kicking over a lot of rocks and showing people, the general public, all kinds of fraud and irresponsible elected official behavior.
The biggest problem is
trillions of our dollars and just throwing it at people. It's not their money.
The biggest problem is, though, he is the swamp. He's like an alligator in the swamp. He is the swamp.
You can't clean the swamp if you can't survive in it. So an alligator would be an excellent analogy.
The big ugly alligator eating all the little alligators so he can be in charge of the swamp. That's all he's doing. It's like a Batman. It's like the Batman villain. But anyway, and
so
then
we'll probably be talking about that on the next show, Kurt. So yeah, definitely pop in for that.
And then he's hiding all the stuff from the CDC about viruses and stuff. Is he going to try to let something through to kill us like he did last time with the big?
No, I don't think that was his fault at all. I think the problem is the CDC. They're a bunch of fucking kooks.
But why is he limiting them? But why is he limiting them to say anything? Why is the medical association having to go to?
Because they're a bunch of kooks and quacks. They told us all kinds of
how are we
bullshit lies about COVID, none of which were true.
I don't trust them. I don't trust any of them.
Well, first of all, they said it was a natural virus. We know that's not true. They said
anarchy.
No, that's not true.
I got a song for him. Anarchy in the UK. Anarchy in the UK. I am an antichrist. Wanna destroy. That's my song for them all from the Sex Pistols.
I got one for you.
Megadeth redid that one.
Here we go.
You gotta sing it.
No, I'm not going to sing it, but somebody else will.
Don't be getting no copyright violations on us now.
I don't think we will.
I am a I need to watch that Gary Oldman movie about Sex Pistols where Gary Oldman's him.
All right, you ready for this?
You ever seen that Gary Oldman Sex Pistols movie where he's the Sex Pistols dude? It's pretty good. It's crazy.
No, I haven't seen that. Okay, so we'll put that on. We'll put that up.
I don't like any of them. They don't even know I exist.
All right, here you go, Jeff. This is King Trump. I think you'll recognize the music.
I am officially running for president of the United States. King Trump.
Now, when he started running, no one thought we'd see people stand in line to see the Orange King. King Trump. How'd we get so lucky? Donald Trump. He's gonna save our country.
Born with silver spoon, he can buy the moon. King Trump.
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
Now, when he wins and China has to see him, he'll get back all our money and build a coliseum.
King Trump.
Hillary's a donkey.
Donald Trump.
He's my favorite honky.
Built the Taj Mahal, now he'll build the wall. King Trump.
Golden eyebrows. His hair is perfect.
King Trump.
Now when I vote, now don't think I'm a nut. Don't want the same old, just want to kick some butt. He's keeping out the Muslims. Everybody loves him.
Born in New York City, wife is very pretty. He was born in New York City.
His first lady's got nice boobies.
Really, they're great. They're fabulous. They're huge.
I'm pretty sure I'm in hell. This is a nightmare. Is there a Trump is Hitler sign? And I don't even know what to say. It's like being in an express elevator to hell.
Did you like that, Kurt? That was pretty funny. I'd seen it, but I hadn't watched it all the way through yet. That was kind of fun. Done to Steve Martin's King Tut. How did they do that?
Terrifying. Man in the High Castle. And
definitely some high strangers going on in the White House these 4 years.
He's looting.
Well, if Putin doesn't, bring his ass to the negotiating table, we may be looting from Putin.
Yeah, I just think we're all gonna die. So either way, so that's
right now. I think we're pretty good. I don't think we're in jeopardy of a really serious third World War, igniter yet. When Pakistan and India were going at it, that's when I was concerned. If they go back at each other again, then it will probably escalate to a third World War.
Yeah, but maybe sending some of them stimuli out. That's all I know.
Well, I have a feeling that what they're going to do is, if World War III breaks out, they'll issue the stimulus checks and then issue a plea. Use your $5,000 for the war effort. No, you already have trillions of my dollars. You use that. I'll take my $5,000 and do something better with it, like get a new roof.
They ain't gonna give nobody no money. You getting any money?
Democrats did, so
let me know. Let me know. I think they're gonna hotbox us and turn us into Syria. Is what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't think we're in any serious jeopardy right now. And it's like I said, if India and Pakistan go back at each other, then we're looking at the possibility again.
Yeah. What about all the other ones? Israel.
Look, Congo is going. It's basically like warlord versus warlord. So it's not like, that's probably not going to spark off a third world war. But depending on what happens in the next few days, weeks, months with Israel, Iran, U.S., and Middle East, there's a possibility there, a remote possibility. I think if anything happens in the Middle East, it'll probably be the Arabic countries that aren't aligned with the U.S. attacking Israel full force. And that, if that happens, then that would absolutely spark off World War III. But I don't think we're in jeopardy of that. Iran right now is scared shitless with Trump in office. Putin, on the other hand, he's a wild card. He's been spewing out that he wants to drop a nuke on London and Switzerland or Sweden. I forget which, one of those two countries. And if he doesn't get his way at some point, he may just go ahead and do that.
Yep. Take over the countries, you mean?
But I don't know if he's going to take over. I think what he will do, what he said he wanted to do, or initially, the reason why he invaded Ukraine was the Nazis. But then he recanted and said he wants to reunite the former Russian Federated States.
Seems like a little shithead. Little shit. Little
Actually, he seems like a big shithead, to be honest with you.
He is. Let's see who's coming up. Our show's coming up. This is your last one for the month. And then the Wham will be here the 6th with Clay Adams, Fried Comics. He has cool Frankenstein comic. The 13th, Kevin Laporte, Inverse Press. He's got a cool comic book company with all kinds of stuff. And June 20th, Wild Trees. June 27th, Joseph Schmock. That's some comics. No Show on the 4th. Mark Eddy. You got his book, right?
I don't know.
Lizard book. We talked about it. It's lizards. Something about lizards.
Let me see.
It's an archaeological book. I'll have to make sure. Let me know. Travis Gibb. Got a lot of comic book people. And then we got some psychedelics. Mission Norma. We got Derek Rook. Jerry Avalos is coming back on. Anthony Fusilla is coming on again. And I'm working on September. I'm filling up August. Schedule.
What was Mark's book called?
Lizards.
Yeah, I don't see anything. When did you send it to now?
Let me look. I
I
thought
don't see it.
something's going to avoid when I send you stuff. Mark Eddy.
Let me try Mark.
Here it is right here. It says I sent it to you.
Opening in May. Show me my
It says I sent it to USS Lexington. That's the right one, right?
No. That's why you're not getting them. That email's old.
Let me look. USS Lexington. What's the other one?
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you in the private chat.
I have it, I'm pretty sure. Is it J.V. McNicholas?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. It's also in there. You can click on it.
It's just the end of the world, baby.
There is a lot of buzz in the paranormal communities about 2030 being the banner year where all shit breaks loose, and that's the end times or / Armageddon. And then allegedly there's it's 10 years of just horribleness, and then after that, Shangri-La ish.
Yeah. One thing I want to say is the book is Lakes, Lizards, Linton, and Leverett, Ohio River Drainages, Antiquarians, and What They Found by Mark R. Eddy, Dimension Fold Publishing.
There it is.
There you go.
Cool. Lakes, Lizards, PDF. All right, cool.
Plug.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so humid and hot. Just feels like death.
Yeah, we got to take all the window units and put them back in. We only did the one in our bedroom, but I got 1, 2 or 3 more to put up.
Remember, if you want to try to save my job, you can go to beforeitsnews.com and click stuff. My
Click
articles.
on everything that says Jeffrey Pritchett.
Yeah, my stuff's usually number 1. If you love Trumple Gooch, there's lots of Trumple Gooch stuff there.
Nothing, Mark. We were Jeffrey sent your book PDF to my old email address that no longer works, so we just now got it to me. So that's all.
He's got old, ugly emails that don't work.
Well, I had it for a while since I moved into here, but I kind of want to get it back. I liked it because it cost me $30, but no spam. I like the layout of the inbox and outbox and whatnot. I still have I use Gmail, but it's not the same.
Nothing's the same. Everything is just.
What did that guy say in that movie? It's like getting a new pair of underwear. It's that comfortable at first, but then eventually you forget it's there.
That's right. Everything just feels gross. Something ain't right. That's all I know. Something ain't right in this disco. Something done went wrong. At least someone remembered my interview about me being a superhero.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. I thought everybody forgot me.
Here's a good one for you. I haven't read comics in years, Kurt. I used to, but it's a costly habit.
It's very costly. Avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. Pardon the pun there.
If you used to do heavy drugs and you suddenly do comic books and not heavy drugs, you'll do comic books and you'll spend more money. Don't do it.
And then you'll go to jail for trying to steal your heavy drugs.
Yeah, there's so many comic books.
Yeah, so it's disgusting how many.
If you just,
there's independent comic companies. There's a problem. I know there's a couple self-published websites out there that help you publish your own cookbooks, comic books, etc. So maybe it's oversaturation. I don't know.
It's oversaturation. It's too many.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell comic book he's talking about.
Estimate of the Situation comic. I've never heard of it.
I found something. Oh, okay. I see it. That I know that James Tynion has some comics called Project Blue Book. That's all these.
Yeah, Kurt just said that.
It's pretty good. I have all those. See, I love comics, but it's very addictive. You just want to if you want to read Spider-Man, be prepared. There's like 40 Spider-Man.
Oh, there's way. You want to talk oversaturation? Spider-Man is ridiculous. I don't know if he still is. For now, anyway. He's always been my favorite superhero because he didn't want his powers. He didn't attempt to get him on his own, and once he did, he tried to do stupid shit with it, and then had to train himself how to use his powers and fight and do all the other things he does. So I think, as far as superheroes goes, that's pretty strong. Self-taught superhero, basically.
Yeah. I'm looking up this weird comic he's talking about. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, if there's a comic for the Project Blue Book, I hope it's fairly accurate. The show with I forget the actor's name, but he played J. Allen Hynek, who was the leading, at first, skeptic consultant for Blue Book, and the show was good, but it had a really lame X-Files feeling to it.
Supposed to be a new X-Files type show coming out from the guy that does Breaking Bad.
Oh, wow. Well, I thought there was talk also of an actual X-Files reunion. With Mully and Mulder.
There's supposed to be something from that dude that did that new Sinners movie. I think that
may be what I'm misconstrued. I don't know. But
a new X-Files. Of course, this weird comic book he's talking about is only on Kindle, and it doesn't even have a physical copy. It's a weird comic. I can't find much on it except it's on Kindle. Let's see. Stay away from comics. They'll rot your brain, young man.
They won't rot your brain, but they will empty your wallet.
They'll rot your brain, young man.
Well, I guess it depends on what kind you get.
EC Comics has a lot of new cool comics. Like the old Tales from the Crypt. They're doing all these different ones.
Yeah.
I like those kind of comics. Anthologies like Creep Show. There's a Creep Show series from Image Comics.
Oh, cool.
Like
Yeah,
from-
I'm sure they had one in the 80s, too. Their Creep Show comics.
Kurt, that Project Blue Book series has an omnibus coming out of a hardcover that's collecting them all or something like a book.
Wow. We can get the whole thing at once. Awesome.
I have all the single issues. It's really a pain in the ass getting all those single issues because then you have so many, you're like running out of room and shit because you have too many single issues, too many boxes.
Yeah.
So you're better off just getting the omnibuses.
I think I have 4 boxes. Maybe it might be 5. I think it's 2 long and 2 short. So I think it's 4 boxes, 2 long ones and 2 short ones. And the 2 short ones are the same length. If you put them side by side, they're almost the same length as the 2 long ones. So
Yeah. I have too many. It's like a crack habit. I have like 13 boxes. I'm like a crack baby of comics.
yeah, I've cut back, Kurt. I have quite a few collectibles. Oh, you see? Oh, Jeffrey, you might like this one.
You want me to tell you how to get you out of collectibles? You're gonna die. You're not taking any of this shit with you. It's still hard if you like collectibles.
No, you're not. But you ready, Jeff?
Yeah.
This is one of my collectibles.
Nice. Is that the
You know
one?
what it is?
A whale gun.
No, it's a Stormtrooper
Star
gun.
Wars. Star Wars gun.
It's a Stormtrooper gun.
Let me tell you a depressing story.
Huh.
The guy from Ramones collected stuff. One of the ones that died, the Ramones, several of them died. But anyway, Rob Zombie was hanging out with him like during his last days. And Rob Zombie said it depressed him so much because he was the dude, Ramones dude, was still trying to collect stuff, even though he knew he was dying. He's like collecting stuff, even up to his like dying day. And then it made Rob Zombie depressed, so he stopped collecting stuff.
I have 2 for the most part.
It's depressing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much cool stuff. Okay, I have one thing I collect right now, and they come in little Death Star balls. The Series 1 came out with these silver Death Star balls, and you get 4. These they call them Doorables.
Yeah.
4 per ball, and there's 25 figures per series. I'm on the 2nd series, which is a red ball, and I think this dude came from the 1st series.
What in
Not
the
sure.
hell is that?
It's Anakin Skywalker.
Those are Anakin Skywalker?
That's Anakin Skywalker right there.
Well, okay. It's weird. What are they called?
Doorables, like the word door and ables.
Yeah. Why can't we take this stuff with us when you die? God, I'm going to kick your ass, God. Why can't I take my PlayStation with us?
Well, allegedly, when you do get this, you can have anything you want. So anything you have, you can have up there or
What if you
recreate
have
it.
an
Anything you
Akasha-
had that
Akasha
you've lost in the past,
perception?
you can go, oh,
you-
there's my old, so my dad, when I was a kid,
What
they
if
made a
you
huge
get to have an
mistake.
Akashic copy of everything you own? That's the rule.
Oh, would you check this out? You'll like this. My dad, in my youth, he made a mistake. He got me a Space 1999 stun gun. It was like, the little gun that was like a U-shaped thing. And it had lights and sound. So I put batteries in it and I was going around shooting everybody with it. And my dad finally got so pissed, he took it and he hit it. And then, I don't know, a day later, a week later, I kept asking him, can I get it back? Can I get it back? Can I get it back? For years. He hid it in the house. He forgot where he hid it. And then when we moved out, it never showed up. I was expecting it to show up. I think he put it in the attic, and we never looked up there when we moved. So it's probably in that attic right now.
Crazy.
Yep. There's Edgar again.
32. What a young sprite. went to my ear. Oh. Better watch out because you'll eat poop and then kiss me. You poop eater. We got 3 minutes left.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to sing a song. Froggy went a-courting and he did fine. Froggy went a-courting and he did fine. I don't know the rest of this song, but that's all I really know. It's Froggy went a-courting and he did fine.
This is the professional, I think, what, the 16 something or other. It's a place, it's a company in England that does really, really good movie sci-fi props. And this one, come on, kitty cat, I'm doing something. I can't have you in my lap. Sorry. Yep, and the picture changed, so I'll fix it. Where are we? There. So this is the brand. Hang on, let me go back. Brand 1612. Again, they make props in England. And so this is the kit. $700. So it's not a toy. It's like a hero prop, and you get the gun and the communicator. Pretty cool things. You remember the show?
I have them on torrent. I mean, on hard drives. I've never watched them.
Yeah, I've got the DVD set. But I think see, this has stun and kill, and I think the communicator, you can use it to like Bluetooth to your, if you like have a smart house.
Yeah.
I believe you can Bluetooth it to that, and then like turn on your lights, turn on your TV, turn the volume up, that kind of thing. That's pretty cool.
Later, Kurt. Is that someone you know from work?
See you, Kurt. No, he's one. I believe he's one of Sean Kelly's big fans. He comes and watches a lot of our shows.
God bless you, sir. God bless you. God bless you, sir. All right. Well, everybody, we got to go. I'm tired. I'm going to watch a Havoc movie with Tom Hardy beating up stuff.
I really, and I'd never heard him before, but I really liked the voice he did for Bane. That was awesome. When he was Bane in the Batman movie, he was the best one, hands down. The one they got for the first one, or the first Bane, I think he was some kind of like WWE wrestler or something, and he didn't speak. He was just giant dumb ogre thing.
What was the first Bane in?
Oh, it's the one with Poison Ivy, George Clooney.
Oh, the crappy Batman.
The really shitty one, yeah.
Batman Forever or something.
No, Batman Forever is the one with I believe it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Robin.
Yeah, I can't keep up. I like the Tim Burton's the best.
So I to be honest, the best one I think is the Val Kilmer one. I really think that's the best one. The villains are cool.
I'd have to see it again. It's been a while.
I think it's the best of the series so far.
That's Batman Forever. Which one's that one?
I'll find it for you.
All right, you listen to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans.
Yeah, it's Batman Forever. Yeah.
I have to rewatch them one year. All right, everybody have a good weekend. Good night.